But first, and speaking of Kimberley Kitching, you know, I'm so touched, or I would be if I was touched in the head. I'm so touched by the sudden appearance of compassion, of sensitivity in Labor, of sensitivity and compassion in the media left, the ABC, for instance. It would warm your heart if you were a complete sucker, if you couldn't smell the stinking hypocrisy. Last week, as you know, Labor Senator Kimberley Kitching died, aged just 52, from a suspected heart attack. She'd had other health issues, but she was also under a lot of stress. Now again, I'm not blaming anyone for my friend's death, but I and a lot of Kimberley's other friends and the people closest to her are very angry about how she was treated by senior Labor figures, including 3 women that she called the Mean Girls, as a joke. Labor Senate leader Penny Wong and frontbenchers Christina Keneally and Katie Gallagher. Now, I'm not going to detail all this again, how these Mean Girls and others in Labor, like leader Anthony Albanese and his staff, how they marginalised Kimberley, how they pushed her aside, some even abusing her, threatening her job for being too tough on China, not towing their line, things like that. In fact, Penny Wong once even told Kimberley that she didn't understand why children were freaking about global warming because Kimberley had no children herself, which is a vile and nasty comment that hurt Kimberley a lot. How she would have loved to have had children. This was one loving woman. But we're now told, Kimberley's friends, we're told now that she's dead, we really shouldn't talk about this. We should all politely shut up about this alleged bullying of this woman. And it's for Kimberley's sake, of course. It's for the sake of those of us now grieving. And I am so touched by this sudden sensitivity. Aren't you?
Her funeral isn't till Monday. Can people be a bit respectful at this point in time?
And as many of my colleagues have said, I think we all just feel that this whole debate and turning it into a political issue is a really disrespectful way to handle a tragic event.
Yes, we haven't even had Kimberley Kitching's funeral yet. I don't think it's appropriate to be making this into a political issue.
Stop, I'm so moved. The ABC as well, commentators like Patricia Karvelis and fellow travellers of the left that she gets on, like Guardian Australia writer Catherine Murphy. I mean, same incredible sensitivity suddenly. You know, or talking about this bullying of Kimberley is so distasteful.
Now, this whole discussion is rather unseemly given Kimberley Kitching hasn't even had a funeral yet.
This is, as you've said, Patricia, a really deeply uncomfortable conversation. I mean, I can't really believe it's happening, actually, given that Kimberley Kitching's funeral, as you've pointed out, isn't until Monday. I think it'd be useful if people could bear that in mind for the sake of the late Senator's friends and family who are listening to this whole cavalcade. All I would say is there's generally 2 sides to every story. And I think for the sake of the dignity that I referred to a moment ago, it really is best to leave it there.
Listening to all this, I mean, there's a torrent of it. I was thinking, am I missing something here? You know, blundering away in my anger, striking out in my grief. So I rang around. I actually rang around. I checked with other friends of Kimberley, checked with the people closest to her. And not one of them, not a single one said, please, you know, Andrew, enough. Don't talk about this bullying now. Respect, it's just too soon. Not one. I mean, is Labor kidding? We're all as mad as hell. The only people saying, you know, please don't talk about this now. Sensitivity, respect. Don't talk about this Labor bullying as they wipe the crocodile tears from their eyes are the people who didn't love Kimberley. People maybe of the left. People maybe with a guilty conscience. I should, by the way, say here that Katie Gallagher said the allegations against her are false, and Penny Wong suggests the same, two sides to the story.
I'm simply not going to engage in commentary about some of the allegations which have been raised, even if I and others disagree with them.
And Christina Keneally, she won't comment at all. And maybe there are two sides to the story. Gee, I'd like to hear the other one. But they don't want to talk about this. None of them. Too sensitive. Which brings me to the disgusting hypocrisy of many of these same people saying, shh. I tell you, when it was the Liberals being attacked for being supposedly mean to women, Anthony Albanese, well, he couldn't get enough talk about that subject.
Not so much a tin air as a wall of concrete.
We had today women gather around Australia with a few very clear and unambiguous messages. Hear us roar. The Prime Minister needs to listen to what women are saying about what is happening in this building and outside.
Listen to what women are suffering in this Parliament. There's an idea for you. And when it was the Liberals accused of being mean to women, Christina Keneally, she wanted people to shout this from the rooftops.
Women need a Prime Minister who listens, who cares, who acts. A Prime Minister who treats them with respect.
And when it was Conservatives being attacked and accused of all sorts of horrible things, even innocent people like Cardinal George Pell, there was none of this new squeamishness from the ABC and the Guardian in Australia about, let's be sensitive, let's see it from both sides and just leave it there. Hell no. That same Guardian journalist you heard a little earlier, Catherine Murphy, it's too distasteful. She happily smeared George Pell as brutal and an abuser of children, but all false. And when Brittany Higgins accused the Liberal staffer of rape, there was none of this talk from Murphy and the ABC's Carvelis then of, two sides. The accused man, by the way, actually insists he's innocent. Two sides to a story, let's leave it at that, think of the family. No, Murphy went in boots and all before any trial, saying Higgins' story was shocking and women had had enough, and Carvelis tweeted something so one-sided that I can't even show you that tweet and quote the whole thing for legal reasons. I can just say she started like this: I can't stop thinking about how brave and fierce Brittany Higgins has been to tell her story. But now, two sides of the story. Let's leave it at that. So distasteful. And won't anyone think of Kimberley's friends and family? The hypocrites. The lousy hypocrites. Now, I get it. I mean, it's the same old game. Told you how long, how often. Bullying by the Liberals, accusations against Conservatives, that's shocking, scream the joint down. Bullying by Labor, sweep it under the carpet. Hide behind the people crying now for Kimberley. You hypocrites.